everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker Training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FmTraining.tv, where every day is an exciting day to learn about the Claris FileMaker platform. As a reminder, if you want some awesome training and you want the pre-recorded training, purchase one of our annual training subscriptions, which helps fund the live stream, keeps us going. Now, I'm going to jump back to David. David, say something intelligent. Your face will jump back on screen here. David, are you there?
Yeah, yep, I'm
All
here.
right, David. Now, David, you ready for this? Margaret warned you. You should have been warned before. So this is what I ask all the new people who show up on the show. Who are you, and why should we give a shit? Because I don't like to waste people's time, right? If you don't have an answer for that, the show's over. Have a great Christmas. We'll see you Monday.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I'm David Simpson. I'm basically the president of .com Solutions Incorporated, and the developer of this free tool that I'm going to be showing, which is FmPro Clipboard Explorer. Well, actually, just go to FmProMigrator.com.
So this is your website. Right. So keep talking.
Yes, so basically, this is the free tool that I built for the Full Access Conference, and I'm showing that today. I'm also the developer of FmPro Migrator, which I've been developing for 22 years, and it is a tool for converting Microsoft Access, Visual Fox Pro, yes, even COBOL scripts can be converted into FileMaker Pro. And I'll show you just a little bit of that to show you how I'm using the clipboard functionality there that basically I've developed, and I'm showing with this tool here. So, being able to manipulate the clipboard in FileMaker is a pretty neat tool because you can do things like, build layouts outside of the application and bring them directly into FileMaker, value lists, tables, scripts, all kinds of things. And so this little tool is basically a tool that lets you grab basically scripts generated by an LLM or just raw text and put that directly into FileMaker. And the way it does that is it basically tells FileMaker, hey, I am a FileMaker script. Here's the type of data that FileMaker recognizes as a private data type for being a script. And then FileMaker looks at that and says, oh, yes, I can basically copy that in. You click the paste button and boom, it goes in as a script in the FileMaker database. But you basically are essentially telling FileMaker, oh, here is the data type that I put onto the clipboard, and then FileMaker will accept that data type so that you can then, bring it in as a layout, a script, a value list, table, or whatever the case might be. Okay, so what you should be seeing on my screen is a web page for Anthropic LLM.
Yeah.
I have told Anthropic to generate a FileMaker script as XML. It has generated the XML here on the right-hand side. I'm going to click the copy button. I'm going to come over to the tool, the Clipboard Explorer, and I'm basically going to paste it, and it brought it in. Then I'm going to click the Set button to set the clipboard with this data, go over into FileMaker, go to the Edit menu, and paste, and there's the script that Anthropic has built for me right there.
So let me draw pictures over here a little bit. This is kind of important. So if you come back over here for me real quick, come back over there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so then so you're interacting with the AI, which is a completely separate conversation, okay? And the AI generates XML that somehow FileMaker cannot read or understand directly. Is that my understanding?
That's correct, because basically FileMaker is looking to see data of a specific data type on the clipboard. We would call that a private data type.
Okay.
And over here in the tool knows, so you see over here in the tool, it says com.apple.os type :XMSC. That is a private data type which FileMaker recognizes as being a FileMaker script, which has been put onto the clipboard. And so because I have put that onto the clipboard, then when I come over into FileMaker, I can go to the Edit menu and paste, and you notice the paste item was available in FileMaker, and I can basically say, okay, Edit menu, and basically edit menu and paste. Well, basically, I have to copy it again.
That's fine.
But basically, edit menu and paste, and FileMaker will recognize that data type that's on the clipboard and say, oh, that is a FileMaker script. And, oh, I can read a FileMaker script and turn that into a script in the workspace. And then it will parse that XML in and say, oh, look, here are the individual instructions that make up all these different commands that we've got.
Okay, yeah. So this is the FM migrator, right? So
Well, this is FmPro Clipboard Explorer. So this is the free tool.
Okay, hang on. Stop for a second. Back up. So the website we had, I didn't see this. I saw FM migrator.
Right. So basically, this is down on the downloads page. In fact, the first page of my slide presentation has a QR code where you can get directly to the downloads page. Scroll down to the bottom, and then you'll see this at the bottom of the page there.
This is his paid product. I think this probably has high value. I think he probably should come back on the show and talk about this, but that's not what we're talking about. So to find what we're talking about today, where are we going to go? We're going to go to demo.
Yep, go to the demo, and there it is.
And it's at the bottom. So at the bottom of the demo page is where you find the content for today's show. FmPro Clipboard Explorer allows you to put LLM-generated scripts into the clipboard for easy. So yeah, the short version of this sentence is that if you get a script from AI, it's going to f it up and FileMaker can't read it. And so David made a English to Spanish language converter thing that converts the LLM code that comes out from the AI into FileMaker recognizable code. So it has to go through this translation process, and then it works. Then it brings it in, which is awesome, right? So now the first question, but I'm already answering it here for David Angel. He wants to know if there's a Windows version. It's right here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep. Mac and Windows version, and the source code is provided too.
So this is pretty, so everyone, now we're all on the same page, right? And a lot of you got this already. Either you knew about this or you understood what he was saying, but yeah, so that if we're going to pitch, what I would have done is said, I'm David, come to this page over here, and this is where we find this right here, which is great. Now, can we go back to your FM Clip Explorer tool for a little bit and go back and walk us through? So we got, okay, back up. Looking at this, that's our clipboard data. I guess that's the data type. Looking at this, is this like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Well, basically, step 1 would be select your data type. So by default, it's coming up with a script, which is basically what we want here. We want to grab a script. But technically, you could work with other data types as well. Okay. And so the first thing I did is I copied the XML that was generated by Anthropic, and I clicked the paste button right here. Now, there wasn't any text I found on the clipboard because we've already had something else on there now. But once we have the data, then basically we can click the set button to set the clipboard with this private data type. So this basically com.apple.os type XMSC, that is what FileMaker recognizes as being an entire script. And so because that is on the clipboard, FileMaker says, oh, look, I will enable the paste button in the edit menu so that you can then paste it into the script workspace. This button is, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. So set is the translate button. It translates it and fixes it. And then what does Git do for us?
Okay, so Git is completely different. Git will basically get data from any application. So basically, I could come over and I could say, oh, maybe I've got a keynote presentation. I could even do something like this, copy it, come over into the tool, and I could say Git. And now we have all the different private data types for a keynote presentation. You know, com.apple.iWork, et cetera, et cetera. And there we've got a PDF. And so basically, most applications have private data types that they can work with that they're just using internally to copy data back and forth inside the application. And so the Get button would let you read clipboard data, private and public clipboard data from any application. Could be Excel spreadsheet, could be a keynote presentation, whatever application you might have.
Can you go back to the AI or the Anthropic and grab that text again? Let's do that real quick.
Sure. Let me go back here, click copy.
So that copies that. Yep, we come in here.
And then I'm going to basically click the paste button. Oh, actually, I'm going to delete all of these because we don't really need all of them. Yep, clear everything, do paste. And there's our script. And there's the set button. Click the set button, come over to FileMaker and say, okay, go ahead and let's paste this. And there we got another copy of the script right there.
Okay. So that is your elevator pitch, right? So pretty interesting. So Margaret, can you help with questions for a moment here? Because we answered the Windows.
We answered the COBOL conversion. What? No Fortran or Lisp conversion?
Actually, yes. FmPro Migrator will read any text file for any programming language now.
Okay. Yeah. We really need to bring him back and do that as a separate show. Right?
I can kidnap him for January. Are you amendable to being kidnapped in January for like a second show?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
Because people are asking questions about your other products, and that's when you present, that's why you don't show the other products, because they think we're talking about that, right? So now we got two separate conversations going here, back and forth, right? Nikki says this is amazing. Yeah. What do you get when you paste from Excel? Yeah, I'm sure there's Microsoft has own data types.
Yes, it does. I've actually, I think I've got that in the slide presentation. I did an example of that. And if I bring up Excel, let's just see here, see if I have something that I might have already read previously. And Excel is loading. And personal budget. So I had it make a little budget. So here we have a budget. We're going to select all, go to copy, come back to the tool, and basically just going to clear everything that's in there. And I'm going to paste. And oops, didn't really mean to paste. Let me clear that again. What I really wanted to do is I want to hit the Get button to get everything. Oh, well, let me do this again. Copy, and then Get, and did it? Okay, there it is. You got it. Okay, so if we look at what Excel put on the clipboard, we have these public data types, HTML, a couple different versions of UTF-8. Then we've got this com.microsoft.hyperlink, and that's going to be a private data type that only, Microsoft Excel is going to be using. Then we've got a PDF, a PNG, we've got a TIFF, and then we've got a bunch of other different private data types that Excel will be using on the clipboard. So if you want to copy from within Excel, it's going to know what to do with those. But there is some potentially interesting information in there. There's like a PDF that you might extract info from. There's plain text, there's UTF-8, etc. And so anyhow, this little tool is basically grabbing all the data types that are on the clipboard. Most applications, like for instance, if we took a FileMaker layout and we pasted it into a tool like Affinity 3, what would we get? We would get basically the PDF of the layout, which FileMaker is putting onto the clipboard. So that's public information, but the graphics application, it's not going to recognize or see the private data type, which is basically going to be the XML information that makes up the contents of the layout.
Well, this is interesting. So so while we looked at what Excel would give us, let's talk about just off the cuff. So we're talking about Anthropic, essentially AI, generating a script for us. And we run it through your product, your free tool. It does a quick conversion for us so we can read it into FileMaker. We read it into FileMaker. Duh, perfect. So besides Anthropic, we're talking about these other things. Is there other things that we can feed into here that would allow us to, like you talk about the layout or interface from someplace else, right? Is there a layout creator that we can use to help create a layout and then go through this and dump it into FileMaker?
Well, yeah, that's part of my slide presentation where I actually do that with FmPro migrators. I take metadata from Access and FoxPro and other applications, and I create a FileMaker layout out of the metadata. Basically, I'm creating the entire FileMaker database out of thin air. And because I know the clipboard format, I'm basically putting that in a format that I can paste into FileMaker. So that's part of the value of knowing, what FileMaker expects on the clipboard. So if you did it outside of FmPro Migrator, you could certainly make your own tool that would create scripts or layouts or anything else. And then you can literally drag and drop an XML file onto this clipboard data field, and then it will be able to put that onto the clipboard as well. So this little tool is kind of helpful for being able to do that.
So show us, did you want to go through your PowerPoint a little bit? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Are we talking about FM Migrator? Is a presentation on the clipboard, or is it on Migrator? What is it?
Well, the presentation is mainly on the Clipboard Explorer that I'm showing here.
Oh, okay.
I am basically showing some slides, a couple of short videos showing some of these other things we've been talking about, showing creating value lists, etc. And those are just short movies. But yeah, I wanted to. I've actually gone through pretty much the demo. The only part of the demo I didn't go through is, on the Windows side of things. This is the Windows version of the tool. I can be over here on, Anthropic's website on Windows. I can basically paste the script. I can set the script onto the clipboard. I can come over to FileMaker, to the Script Workspace on Window. Let me come over to here and basically tell it to paste. And then once again, there's the Anthropic script. Now, there are some more details I can go into as well. Anthropic is basically the only LLM I have found which is capable of producing XML that I can put onto the clipboard that FileMaker will recognize. We can test also Gemini. Gemini is doing a really good job these days, but it's not able to produce an executable script. For that, we would want to generate just text, and that's something I could demo as well. Maybe after I've gone through my slides, maybe we'll do that. I was going to just race through them, pretty quickly because we've actually covered a good bit.
A big chunk of this, yeah.
A big chunk of it. That was the first slide of the slide presentation so that people have the QR code and they can just go right there and download it. So how this all started is, FileMaker puts a lot of interesting info onto the clipboard. Unless you have a special tool like this, it's hard to do that. I've already talked about if you copy a FileMaker layout into Affinity, you're just going to get, basically the PDF.
Okay, so back up. I don't use Affinity. What the hell is Affinity?
Okay, so Affinity is like a replacement for Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, Adobe Illustrator, all in one application. And it's now owned by Canva. And but yeah, you could do the same thing with like Photoshop or Illustrator as well. So basically, how this all started is quite a while ago. I had a conversation with Todd Geist at DevCon. He said, "Hey, did you know that FileMaker puts a lot of neat info onto the clipboard?" So that's when I started exploring this. Last year, Todd showed a video where he was generating scripts with Anthropic, and then he went off screen. He somehow put the script, onto the clipboard and then pasted it into FileMaker. So I thought, okay, I'm not quite sure how Todd's doing that. I can write a tool that will do that, and that is this particular tool. I basically built this tool around the idea of presenting it at the Full Access conference, and I did present it a little bit in talking about clipboard functionality during the Under the Hood session. But anyhow, these are all the different data types that we can work with: tables, fields, custom functions, value lists, layouts, script steps, but not the relationship graph itself. As I was saying, with Anthropic is the only LLM that can actually produce workable XML. Gemini produces good XML, but I haven't been able to successfully copy it and paste it. So for all the other LLMs, I'm recommending you just tell the LLM to generate text. And then when you generate the text, you're just going to have essentially commented script steps. This little tool, the Clipboard Explorer, you can grab everything that you had there on the clipboard. You saw all those different data types, for Excel and for Keynote. You can just extract all of those and save them, onto disk so that you can work with them. The tool also just accepts random XML that you may have generated with some other tool. Drag and drop it. Make sure that you select the data type first, in this case, a script, and then it will put that onto the clipboard for you. We've already seen the Excel clipboard data and already seen the Keynote clipboard data. Here's what you're going to get in the download files. You're going to get a button bar widget. This little tool is built with live code. So this is a button bar widget for live code, which I've developed with my friends at Live Code. There's a spec sheet. There's Keynote presentation. There's the application itself, which is a digitally signed DMG. It's about a 33-page PDF manual, and then the live code stack, and then the icon. And then on Windows, you're getting all the same. You're getting basically a presentation for Windows. You're getting a .ico file for an icon. This is essentially the heart of the script, line 102 there. If I zoom in, you can see that basically we're going to put the keys of the raw clipboard data into this variable, and then I'm going to cycle through those in order to display them. And so this is what allows us to grab all the different private data types that are on the clipboard. So I basically partnered with the folks at Live Code and to get this command added to the development environment so that I could
so you wrote your app in Live Code. You wrote your app
Yes.
in Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
that's right. So
that right there is an entirely separate conversation for a separate show. Because that's not a small thing to unpack. So okay, so I'm going to back up and I'm going to circle back to some basics here. People are asking questions on this. So just to be clear, the best LLM for this, you are saying, is Anthropic.
Yes.
Or no, back up. So I am still wrapping my head around all this AI related stuff, as a lot of people are. So is Anthropic, is that part of OpenAI, or who is Anthropic? Is that?
Well, Anthropic is a separate company, and they have models including like Opus and Sonnet, for instance. And so they're a separate company. You can generate scripts with OpenAI. You can generate scripts with Google Gemini, but those are like three separate companies. And Anthropic has generally been regarded as being one of the best coding LLMs available, and that's what I found. It's the only one that actually can produce scripts that we can actually copy and paste into FileMaker.
So go back to that web page if you would, real quick. But I'm looking at it. See, Anthropic, and you're using Sonnet 4.5. So I am using with a company called Assembly AI, and that's where we did the voice dictation, some other stuff for the helicopter company. I'm using the Sonnet 4 or 4.5 or whatever I'm using. That's the same model. So is that model a OpenAI model? Who created that model? Because
that model is strictly created by Anthropic.
Okay,
Correct.
So OpenAI must have licensed it from them, because there's more than one company running around talking about Sonnet.
Right. Yeah, I don't think OpenAI licensed anything from Anthropic, and Anthropic didn't license anything from OpenAI. There are open source models that have been produced by OpenAI. That's a whole separate topic. Actually, for some of my customers, I have to run models locally for privacy reasons. And there are a couple of open source models, GPT OSS 20B and 120B. That's what I ship with my server product, where I ship it to a customer who needs to run models locally. They cannot use the public internet in those situations.
Okay, so the company's Anthropic, the model is Sonnet 4.5. That's what was throwing me
Right.
off because there's this company called Assembly AI, and they have sub-licensed that model, I guess, from Anthropic. And
Right.
because I got a note from them that they were deprecating Sonnet 3.4, and I had to move it up, and it broke some, and it pissed me
Right.
off. Long story. So I saw that, I'm like, oh, where did it, so it's clearly being used more than one place. So I have a broad question here. So we're talking about AI generating a script and
Right.
being useful. And this came up with someone else. I'm going to go back to this question. Um, what other things can we do with the XML, right? I mean, uh, Lynn from Oz is what I'm going to ask this question, and this is because you're hitting this, David, at a very senior developer level, and most of the people here are not super senior developer level people. So you have to throttle back your explanations and put a little,
Sure.
go slower and spend a little more time on it. Um, and I'm not picking on Lynn, but Lynn, this is a great. I'm wondering the same question. I didn't write it this way, but this is the same question I have. What do you do with XML for Excel? Where would you paste that in FileMaker? What Lynn is saying is, why do I give a shit about Excel? If I have to move data
Oh,
in and out of FileMaker, that's great. If I have to do this and out of FileMaker, I can already do that. So why are we even talking about? I mean, unless you're geeking out and it's cool, but why do we care about XML with this, right?
yeah, that's a good question.
Or
You're
Excel? Why do we care about Excel with this?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, from the standpoint of FileMaker, you're probably not going to copy using this tool, from Excel, into FileMaker. I'm just showing the private data types that these different applications are putting onto the clipboard. If you want to get data out of Excel, you're better off probably just, importing it, directly,
Right.
from within
So,
FileMaker.
so this is educational, Lynn. So a big chunk of this conversation is educational because he's giving you some background on it. The problems were this is what I'm talking about, David. You have brand new people or brand new people. Okay, I am brand new to AI. I've been watching it. I've been playing with it. I wanted to pull a gun and shoot it multiple times because it's such a pain in the ass. I had to do a big write-up for Claris to explain to them how difficult this has historically been. You, David, are what I call the top 5% of the FileMaker community. They're the people who are using AI every day. You understand it, but you're at a very deep developer, right? And so for the rest of us who are trying to catch up, we're trying to figure out what the essential nuggets are. So the essential nugget of this is that the clipboard, a FileMaker specific clipboard has some secret sauce in it. He's calling out private data types. Cool. And if you're going to move data in and out between FileMaker and another app, there has to be a conversion of that secret sauce on the clipboard. David's application does that for us. The practical implementation of this is talking to Claude, or correction, Sonnet 4.5, and what was the name of the company again? It was
Yeah, Anthropic.
Anthropic.
Yeah.
And so Anthropic generates the script code for us because that's another whole conversation in itself. Talk how to get that set up and running, because I don't even have that set up and running. Get that set up and running to where you can have an intelligent conversation with it and have it generate some sort of useful stuff. The problem is you just can't copy and paste it into FileMaker. It has to go through this conversion translation process, which is what David built here for us, and that allows us to move it straight into FileMaker. So let me ask a quick question. So say that I'm working with Anthropic and I have this script and I'm like, man, it doesn't work because I suck. I don't have time for this. Can I take it to Anthropic and have it help me fix the script? Can you go that way with it? Would you ever do that, or is it not that evolved yet?
Well, there are people who are doing that, and let's say that's yeah. What you could do is you could copy the XML for the script, put it into the tool. You could potentially maybe get it into Anthropic and say, "Here, look at this," and see what you can do. You might be better off to just grab the text of the script and give that to Anthropic, then say, what have I done wrong here? How can I fix this? But then when it gives you the answer, tell it that you want XML. Look at the prompt that I gave it. as far as this prompt is concerned, this is like the simplest possible prompt. Create a FileMaker script named Anthropic add. So you got to tell Anthropic to name the script. Otherwise, we will not get a script that we can paste via the clipboard. And then notice how I'm telling it, return FileMaker script XML. That's what I want it to build for me. If I don't do that, it's probably just going to make text for me. And text is not the worst thing. What you do need to be aware of is that if you have a script that basically FileMaker can't parse all of it, it will drop out individual scripts steps and it won't warn you. It'll just drop them out. So what I tend to recommend is do it twice. Do it once and produce the XML. Do it again as text. Paste that also. That's a new feature of this Clipboard Explorer that I just added for this version for this live stream, which basically will grab the raw text. It'll make another script of that. And then you, as the developer, can compare them and see if FileMaker has dropped out any individual script steps, because that will happen.
Okay, can you demo that? Because that's the kind of fragility that causes people to want to boot AI out the door and never have it come back, right?
Yeah. I was going to demo that with probably Gemini. That is probably the best option to show you. That is, and I can jump out of the presentation and do that right now.
I'm just jumping through this in terms of, because you just brought this up, that it has this, I don't know, fragileness to it, right? And that's like the F word in the world of AI. It's like, it seems that no matter where I go with AI, the shit's either making shit up or blowing stuff up. And I've got to be able to trust this thing. And I don't know, maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Well, so here's this was part of the demo after the slide presentation I wanted to give, but this was perfect. Yeah, I mean, we want to hit the questions. So I basically asked Gemini, and Gemini is very, very good. It has produced this XML. The XML looks perfect. I've copied it to the clipboard. I'm going to come over here to the Clipboard Explorer. I'm just going to clear everything here that I don't really need any of it. And let me paste that. There's my script that Gemini has produced. I'm going to click the Set button to put it onto the clipboard. I'm going to go into FileMaker, going to do Edit and Paste. And what did I get? I got nothing. It didn't paste anything. So something is wrong with that XML from Gemini. So let's go and do it again. And this time I told it, okay, I want you to generate this as text. And so here's the text. So I'm going to copy the text to the clipboard. I'm going to go back to the tool. I'm going to basically just delete that. We don't need that. I'm going to paste it. And then I'm going to set the clipboard. And then I'm going to come back to FileMaker and I'm going to paste it again. And boom, we got a script. And this is the script that Gemini created. And remember, all this it's just commented script text. And so basically, this is now your starting point to turn these commented script steps into real functional script steps in FileMaker. And you're just going to have to go through. You can't just click on it and do anything with it. You're just going to have to go and just say, okay, show custom dialog, go select that, pull it over, and then just work through it step by step. And I'm recommending, like I say, even if you're using Anthropic, I'm recommending that you do it twice. Do it once as the XML, do it again as text, and then compare them and see if FileMaker has dropped out any of the individual script steps.
Okay, hang on. I'm responding to a question over here that was on Discord. People are commenting, saying kind of what I'm sensing here. So, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we're going to talk. Your product is going to come back up. I've got to get with my team on discussing this, because here's the thing with this is that, yeah, you're dealing with a lot of people here who I would I would call the majority of the FileMaker community, about the 70%. They're the people who code for 2 or 3 hours a day, maybe 4 hours a day if they're really lucky. And they also have their other job at the organization. They don't have time to get this deep like you are into this. And so I keep tapping the brakes of you, trying to get you to slow down with this. And this is good, but their little heads are exploding, and I'm not even supposed to be here. I just cleared my schedule so I could sit here with you because this is so amazing. As I look at this, I'm going to wave my hands here a little bit for Lynn. So Lynn, and if I'm going to make an attempt at re-saying what he said. So we start with a conversation with Anthropic. I'm just going to call it AI for the moment. Now, the rub is I think there's a ton of work in here to get this to do something useful for you. And then once it actually generates and does something useful, it's going to give you XML that cannot be read by FileMaker. So we stick it through David Simpson's tool, which does a conversion recycling thing on it. And then it's a paste into FileMaker, right? FMP.
Right.
So that's the process here. The rub is, I think, overall, this is the easiest to deal with over here. The part that David is driving around, and it's essential part of this conversation, is that there's this whole AI. Like I've never done. I don't have an account with Anthropic. I got OpenAI account. I have a Assembly AI account, and they're different companies with different licenses and blah blah blah. But the point is that getting this and getting useful XML out of here is almost like step one. And then after that, we use David's cool tool, to get it actually jammed into FileMaker. He's showing here that a lot of times when you jam stuff into FileMaker, you can't necessarily trust it. So what is the remediation process on how to make sure it doesn't totally suck? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I know that it's just not going as fast as you would, but I'm telling you, this is what I've been trying to explain to the engineers at Claris, and they've been building stuff for David. The problem is they haven't been building stuff for most of their customers, and it's caused a huge pushback in the FileMaker community on AI. Like when we start talking about AI stuff, the attendance goes into the toilet because it's overwhelming for people because we can't get to a basic level of success. And so what I am wondering, and of course it's not part of David's job to train us on this, but I'm wondering about step one, getting Anthropic, building an account from scratch, and us having a conversation with it to say, I need a script and I need this and I need that and I need blah, 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 and getting it to give us something intelligent and useful without me wanting to kill it or my computer or throw my computer out the window, right? Because it's so frustrating. Mark,
right.
Yeah. So I don't know what you have to say about that, David, because
I do. I actually have a couple of slides on that topic.
Go. Show the slides. Show the slides.
Let me go back to the slides here, and we've covered a number of these. So let me just skip through. That's what you get. That's what the source code looks like. That's how you build a standalone. That's the link. Which is also
you have slides in there on how to build a standalone from live code. Yeah, that's a totally different. That's
in the manual. That's in the PDF manual also. There's a 33-page PDF manual that's part of the package that you download as well, which shows you that.
Delete that shit out of your brain, everyone. That's a different TV show. We cannot deal with this. This is like a fourth topic. See, David, right. You're leaking out amazing topics for all of us to look at. The problem is that we get a slide on it, and then it's like a drive-by awesomeness. You're literally driving by in a car, shooting out the window like a drive-by shooting. You're shooting awesomeness, and then you keep going, and we're stuck at the end of Friday going, God, how do we do this ourselves?
Yes.
Sorry. So I'm like, no. Stay on topic, right? So there we go. Right. Drive by David. All right. So see, yeah. All right, keep going.
Okay. So basically, a real world application here is basically get out of the slide presentation. Is I am using this clipboard functionality to build FileMaker databases from other databases. So for instance, I may be converting a Microsoft Access database into FileMaker. What you're seeing here is the automation of building over 100 layouts in FileMaker that were originally part of a Visual Fox Pro application. This is a development environment that Microsoft discontinued 18 years ago, and people are desperate to get out of it. It's 32-bit, it's not supported anymore, etc. So I'm just using this as an example for how I use the technology. Why it was so important for me to have that conversation with Todd Geist, where he said, hey, did you know that FileMaker puts a lot of interesting stuff onto the clipboard? Well, all of these features that you see me building, whether it's tables, whether it's value lists, whether it's scripts, whether it's layouts, all of it came from that conversation. And then basically here I'm, using AppleScript on macOS in order to basically build this functionality, in a FileMaker database from a completely foreign development environment that basically, otherwise you'd have to build it all, manually.
So Nikki 101 says, I've been using Chat GPT a lot for writing and fixing scripts. It is a very tedious to have to add the code line by line into FileMaker. So this is an amazing tool, and it doesn't seem like Chat GPT's XML code works, but the text does. And so what I would say, Nikki, is, yeah, you're further along the AI journey than I am personally. And it sounds to me like if you use Anthropic, and if you can have an intelligent conversation with Anthropic, then you can get the XML that directly feeds in, and then you have to find a way of kind of, validating that it all came over, right? I guess is the thing. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been finding. In fact, when I've converted scripts from other development environments like Visual Fox Pro, maybe 20% of them I could paste because I'm really just going to have to, paste them as text in most cases, because otherwise I'll get script steps that are dropped out, or I might not get a script step at all. But talking about future stuff, and you were hinting at this, and I put a couple slides in here just to kind of talk about this. So at the Full Access conference, Clay was there, gave us some hints at things that they might be working on. There are 3 different versions of XML that FileMaker uses. Version 1 is used for the DDR XML file. Version 1.5 is what's used for the clipboard. So this is the only way that I've been able to do stuff with creating layouts and put them on the clipboard. I can't read valid XML that's sufficient enough to me to grab that and turn it into a FileMaker layout. 1.5, that's what I have to do. So like if I do a table consolidation project, merge multiple FileMaker databases together, I have to actually copy the clipboard. Version 2.0 is the version of XML that's used in the current Save as XML file feature. That is what I believe FmPro 9 is using, the very latest version. And so what was very interesting, and the reason I'm setting this up, is that Clay was telling us, well, they're adding some additional metadata to the XML. And as soon as he said that, I could tell exactly what they're doing. It's like, oh, I can see what you're doing is you're putting enough information in the XML so that an LLM can basically control FileMaker. And I'll give you one little hint here. This is version 2.0. This is a Save as XML. And we have the layout catalog, but what's really neat here is we have the layout parts. Now, today, with the version 1.5 of the XML, we don't get layout parts. So if you copy the contents of a layout on the clipboard, you don't get the layout parts. You have to rebuild the layout parts manually. This is a question that I forgot to ask during the conference. I'm going to save it for next year's conference. So I'm sponsoring next year at Full Access. And basically, I want to ask, okay, well, since we have the layout parts, are we going to be able to copy and paste an entire layout, including the layout parts in the future in FileMaker? Because what Clay mentioned is that in the future, their clipboard format will change from XML version 1.5 to 2.0. So if they choose to work with and allow us to paste layout parts, that will be really good for us as FileMaker developers. The next thing that I wanted to mention is let's talk about automation. So my friends at LiveCode have this Create Copilot. And this is recently introduced where you can basically give a prompt to live code and it will build essentially the graphical interface for you so that you're not pushing pixels around on the screen manually. So what if you could do that with FileMaker? And I'm hoping that Claris will add that in the future to make it easier so that we could give it a prompt and basically have it do some of that work for us so that we don't do it manually. This screenshot is showing some examples of screens that they created in live code, and then they have the prompt underneath of it, create a photo viewer, create a calculate layout, create a team management app, etc. And so that's why I put this particular slide in the presentation to say, wouldn't it be neat if we could do that? And I do see, in hints that have been dropped, that maybe at some point they will actually let us control more of the functionality of FileMaker with LLM prompts. And beyond that, these are just a couple of slides about my FmPro Migrator product, where I have a high-end version that I ship with a server that I can actually basically let the customer build and do their conversion entirely locally, because I have customers who are in secure data centers where they're not allowed to use public LLMs. So that is it in a nutshell as far as the slide presentation is concerned. And see if there are any more questions that have come in.
Can you go back to the XML conversation? Because I put some notes on screen. Hopefully people are paying attention. One before that. So
before that, okay.
So we've been talking, and you're going to just present on this. So per Claris in April, and I don't know it's terribly changed. So just to give everyone the history on this thing real quick. This is the very old XML that we use for the DDRs and for base elements and things like that. This is the clipboard, which I don't historically pay attention to, but that's why David's here today. This has been, and I'm just going to be completely blunt. Where's my puppet at? Where's my puppet? Claris, let me help everyone here with this a little bit. Claris has been working on XML2 since FileMaker 17, right? Yeah, 17. And it's a long-standing issue with XML2. This is the Star Trek transporter. It is a way of taking a FileMaker file and with high fidelity, allowing you to, they call it serialize it, but basically turn an entire FileMaker file into XML, screw around with it, whatever you want to do, or give it to an AI or whatever you want to do, and then bring it back in and with perfect fidelity reproduce the file. So the whole thing with Star Trek transporters, you beam from point A to point B, and you want to be perfectly put back together. And the tech, up until recently, or even still recently, it tends to lop off fingers and stuff by accident. And so it's never been finalized or formalized as a final specification. And they have yet to finish it. Here's what happens. So this is XML2. They have been intermittently, David, this is for you over here. I'm going to put my little tools over here. I'm going to bring this back over here. Well, I can't really see it. So can I grab this? There we go. Yeah. So over here, they've intermittently referred to XML3. And XML3 in April was what they were discussing, whatever they wanted to call it, as an AI compatible XML. So they are messing with multiple versions of XML, but have this one here really overlaps with this one here, and they probably become the same thing, and maybe that's why maybe they decided they were going to call it 3. But the point was they had an initiative to build the Star Trek transporter in FileMaker 17. That's the whole idea with add-ons. When you drag an add-on on your screen, the add-on is a it's a FileMaker file that's already been rendered out as XML. It's tables, fields, scripts, whatever else, buttons and stuff. That's what add-ons are, the layout add-ons. So David's talking about this. Claris is still working on it. And it's, David, I don't think they're final yet on any of this, right? Over here with this stuff?
I don't think so. I mean, what Clay was talking about is they were adding some additional metadata to version 2. I didn't even hear about XML3, so that would make some sense that maybe they bumped the version number up to 3 for the extra items.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure internally they had to differentiate between them because they've been calling XML2 since 17. So if they're going to have a new initiative, they can call it XML 2. I'm sure they have some sort of name for it, right? And it was kicked around at the super secret partner meeting as being called XML3. Since you're talking about it here, I might as well just say, but it would make sense that they would have to give it a new name.
And that makes a lot of sense.
And my understanding is that they were going to end up finishing XML2 because they really needed it for all the AI stuff. Now, as you can see with David, it's super important because this is the tech that allows us to interact. You know, this whole thing with David's tool, I love David. Thank you, David, for doing this. But David made a tool. The developer community is making tools to compensate for what Claris is building. Claris has to have this. Building a layout with a third-party tool and putting it in there. I think Claris is very aware they need this. So that brings up the question, because to really take advantage of what David's doing, David's just a translator. We really need one of you suggested we need a week on getting Anthropic set up and running and talking to it, where we all kind of do it together, day 1, day 2, day 3. I need to find someone who will do the training for us with that, because I can't do it. I need someone like David who has a week of live streams where he can walk us through getting it installed, getting it set up, and talking to it, so we all do it together, right? Then you use his tool to convert it in and out, and then also because he has the FM data migrator, which is using the same technology, you can pull stuff. That's another whole show. Pulling it out of Python or pulling out of these other things. Wow. Yeah, David, you got a lot of awesome stuff here.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
I'm really happy and I'm thrilled that people like, frankly, Christian Schmidt, David Simpson. Did I say your name correctly? Is Simpson?
Yes, Simpson.
Simpson, okay. So
like the TV show.
Like the TV show. I didn't want to say that because you might be offended, but yeah, it's like the TV show. So, but I'm really thrilled that happened. Margaret, do you have questions on this? Because you just suffer. Margaret just spent 50 hours beating her head against the wall trying to do what Todd Geis had done, and 50 hours later, she barely has it working. And to say she's pissed about it, but it was, and nothing to Todd's just brilliant. It's like David here. They're brilliant. We normal humans try to do what they do. It's super painful. So we need to find a way of having a show. I'm setting the goal for the show as we're all going to work on Anthropic together. We're going to all have accounts day by day, set very slow speed. And at the end, it helps us write a script. Wouldn't that be great? Right? Anyone think that would be great?
Yeah.
I just have to find someone who wants to do it.
I think this is really cool. I would need to play with it myself.
That's the problem. We need to start from the beginning because David's already trained it. I'm sure Anthropic is his, right? And he goes in there and starts talking to it. It goes, sir, yes, sir. Say, sir, how can I help you, sir? And he spent months training it.
Well, actually, I didn't really do that with Anthropic. You saw the prompt there. It was just like the simplest possible prompt you could imagine. But you do need to tell it, make me a script, give it a script name, and make the output to be XML. But remember, that's the simplest possible script. If you want something more sophisticated, yep, you have to give more context to the LLM. You need to give it more background.
Well, it needs to see the structure of the file.
Yes.
So it can do intelligent stuff. How do you you can't copy and paste out of the relationship graph, right? Yet. So we can't give that to Anthropic?
No, I mean, this is something that I'm thinking about and researching for future features I want to build in my product. And those are things that I need to think about, is how am I going to present enough context? What are the tables? What are the fields? What are the relationships in order to get the LLM to generate a lot more? All of the XML that you see where I converted those layouts from Visual Fox Pro, I did all of that programmatically. Those weren't done by LLMs. The scripts, I do convert the scripts with LLMs. So you can take code from any random programming language and turn them into FileMaker scripts or whatever else you might want. And that I'm able to do with LLMs. I'm not able to create the entire graphical interface with LLMs. That is a whole nother topic of research that I am just now starting to research. But you're exactly right. That's the key. For instance, I recently did a press release for this new server-based, version of my product. And basically, I handed it like 2 or 3 PDF files. I gave it a PDF file of the web page. I gave it a PDF file of like a manual. And I said, write me a press release for this particular product release. And then I started with that as the beginning point. So that's where I gave the context information to the LLM, gave it all that information, say, here, now use this to write a press release for me. And I still went through it line by line, but it was terrific as a great starting point.
Yeah, no, I think it's occurring to me. I'm catching up with where you've been probably for a year, and people that without the context, the Anthropic script writing is going to be really limited, because people are going to want to say, well, I want to deduplicate this record, then cross-reference it with this other data, and the AI is going to go, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Right. It's not going to know. Right.
Yeah.
But what you can do, here's something you could do. If you've got existing scripts, you could save those scripts as XML very easily in FileMaker and then drop the XML onto the Anthropic window and use that as the context. It loves to read PDFs, and it will probably read it very well. And to say, here's the code I've already written. Now write me something new based upon what you have read here in this PDF that I've given you.
God, I wonder if there's a way to derive the structure somehow through that process. Okay.
That's something that I'm thinking about doing with my software. I already have all the software in FmPro, all the structure in FmPro Migrator. I know all the tables. I know all the fields. I know all the relationships. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I grab that information, put it together in a format that I can pass that on to the LLM along with my prompt, and then say, okay, now that you've got all this, build this thing for me. So yeah, that's the key. That's the key right there. Is you've got to give it enough context. And that's why I think that some of the things that Claris is putting into the XML are absolutely vital, so that I can see by the metadata that Clay had mentioned that they're putting in, it's like, I can see exactly what you're doing. You're putting enough context down inside the XML so that the LLM knows exactly what it's dealing with. What is the structure? Here it is. It's buried in this XML.
All right, I've got to run. Unfortunately, we're past time on this. We have but we upvoting on this concept of what we're doing here.
Yes, this is cool.
Yeah. All right, so David, you are awesome. If you want to come back for any reason, I think talking about doing a show talking about Python or Cobalt, or I don't know if you're doing a conversion on that. I know that you can run Python code with Monkey Bread in their product, but if you're talking about converting it, or even like Microsoft Access layout conversion, stuff like that, those should be shows that you do to talk about either Fox or talk about Access, do those two. And because really we need about 20-30 minutes of content, and then we have questions that take care of the rest of it. right? So,
Right. Yeah, I've already done like access to FileMaker before, not on your show, but others. That's where I showed Visual Fox Pro here because it's people haven't seen that before. COBOL is also a fun little topic. I have a small sample COBOL script. I actually have somebody at a state agency who actually has licensed FmPro Migrator to do a COBOL conversion. The neat thing about the LLMs is I don't have to say no. People can hand me any programming language and I can say, sure, I can convert it. My software can convert that. And the key is not that you're going to get perfectly executable code at the end, but imagine that you are a FileMaker developer and your customer has this old COBOL script and they say, I want you to incorporate some of this business logic into the FileMaker application. Well, you're not going to be able to easily read that, but use a tool like mine to convert it into FileMaker scripts, and then you can look at it and say, I understand the business logic because it's in a FileMaker scripting format. That's the key. And then you, as the FileMaker developer, will basically make the code your own. It's not going to be used, unchanged. You're going to make changes to it to make it work the way you really want it to.
Margaret, this has been epic. I want to thank David for coming. This has been
Yes,
really
thank you.
great.
Especially since we had to reschedule you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, David's been great. So clearly, David, this is one of those deals where I think we're scratching the surface with you. So you can come on as much as you want. There's quite a few other topics you can have. I know some of the other topics are kind of paid features, but I get the impression your product's fairly inexpensive. So this one that we're looking at here is free. And if we can come back and talk about these other ideas and things, I think that's really powerful for the community. So.
Sure.
All right. Well, great job, everyone. If you want more information, we're going to go to FmPro. Is that what we're doing?
FmPro Migrator.
Go have fun with that, FmPro Migrator. And that'll allow you to get the latest information, check all this stuff out, check out, and once again, this is his paid product. Today we are demoing. Yeah, so if you go to the products here with FmPro Migrator, Pro Migrator, this is his, he's using the same tech under the hood for this migration stuff, but this stuff's cooked up and does some additional things kind of nice. The demo is here. You go scroll down towards the bottom. Did I go demo? Yeah, demo. And you go to the bottom, then you should have that FM Clipboard Explorer, and that's the one that's designed specifically to help with the clipboard, and he's using it with Anthropic for scripting. So pretty cool, cool stuff. So David, great job. Feel free to reach out to him. If they want to email you, how do they reach out to you?
Just the contact form on my website is the best way. I have a chat system on my website where people can chat as well.
All right, everyone. Great job. David, I'm going to have Margaret chat with you because Margaret now is one of our AI people.
All right.
She suffered. All right. That's it. See you. Bye.
All right. Bye.